It faced some criticism from editorial writers and who kind of saw it as being punitive towards people on welfare.
Yeah, but I would hope they would look at how punitive the system has been to people. And now you've got generational poverty. The system has not worked.
Yeah.
Under your parameters of percent of people in poverty, it's the same as when LBJ started. You've spent trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
And you've got now generational poverty. And you have a broken family structure, which is actually the most important piece of staying out of poverty.
Well, you almost...
And so I'm wondering, why wouldn't those same editorial writers look at the current system and say, this hasn't worked?
Well, I almost... You know what this kind of actually makes me think of is, obviously, one of the other things that Johnson did was the escalation of the Vietnam War, and your colleague from the opposite side of the aisle, Senator Kerry, when he was now Secretary of State, when he was a young man, testified, when are you going to make, how do you tell a man to be the last man to die for a mistake? That was, his famous testimony. It's almost like it's a sense from you that we've had generations and this hasn't worked, and your sense is, why are we going to put the next generation through the same thing? Is that, am I reading it right?
Yes. And why would you?
Yeah.
What we kind of devolved to in this system is a subsistence system, where we barely give enough money to people to survive, but we don't push or help them to get out of it.
So do you think that the job training and the work requirements, that you think is the key thing to kind of incentivize people out? You've also mentioned family structure.
Yeah,
so
family structure is the biggest piece of it.
Can you talk me through how the state can kind of help support family? Because that's very difficult.
It's the toughest piece of it. It's the toughest piece of it, and it's the most important piece.
So what do you think you've done so far, and what do you need to do then going forward on that piece?
I don't think we've done enough on it, and I think, and what we've done, we haven't gotten to scale yet.
Yeah.
So we've had fathering initiatives and efforts to work with dads to get them back in the family. I hope really the mentoring actually can help a decent piece on this. But this is the hardest piece, and a lot of it, Brian, is really just a cultural. Will we embrace the family or not as a culture? And a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of kids suffering and struggling because of a difficult family structure. And that's one really, much of it has to be a discussion that we have with the culture, and the culture has with itself. Recognize the importance of family on raising children.
So but that becomes like a difficult task, though, for government to try and take on, because it's not like a thing where if you put enough money right here, it's going to restore the family structure.
No, that's pretty hard to do. But it is a cultural discussion, and here is a place where it needs to be discussed as much as anywhere because of its impact on kids.
And so you do think it's something that you can kind of take up over the next 3 years to...
I think it's something you have to talk about.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're really missing your most important component. And a lot of people, I think, too, when you were talking about that people saw this as being harsh on individuals, I think people a lot of times when they hear the debate gets heard harshly, like drug testing for people on welfare sounds harsh to some, and others would say, well, of course you ought to do that.